Don't sleep on me. Don't sleep on me. The tortoise and hare decided to race. The hare said the tortoise would never keep pace. I'm faster than you, huh? He bragged to his face. I'll finish before you have gone any place. The tortoise was cordial, he barely responded. He just sat back and humbly nodded. Once the race started, the hare took off running. Gone in a flash, he was there, then he wasn't. The tortoise was slower, he plodded along. He just kept going, the race would be long. But about halfway there, the hare got cocky and stopped for a nap, thinking no one can pass me. He was so close to winning, why be concerned? But this was one life lesson he had yet to learn. Cause while he was sleeping, the tortoise was creeping, gaining more ground, believing, achieving, passing the hare who was quietly dreaming. Cause slowly and surely he knew he could beat him. And that's what took place. The hare slept too late. By the time he'd awoke, he had lost the whole race. So careful of bragging, work till you got it. Cause you never know, kids, you could be outsmarted. Watch what you say and treat people well, or you'll wish you could bury your head in a shell. Don't sleep on me, I'll be working the hardest. Don't sleep on me, I'll be working the smartest. First you crawl, then you walk, then you walk, then you run. Better cross the finish line before you say you won. Don't sleep on me, I'll be working the hardest.
Good morning. Welcome back to Coffee and Colorful Conversation. I spent way too much time last night looking for the perfect short video on the tortoise and the hare. We've all heard that fable of the tortoise and the hare, and it's just so relevant to blonding services and all things bleaching. I have been in the industry, as I share all the time. I'm going on almost 40 years now. I graduated in 1986 from beauty school, got my license, and have not left the industry since. And there's been so many different phases of learning and growing and understanding more of how the chemistry works behind what we're doing behind the chair. So the whole first, I would say 25 years at least of my career, I believed that the higher volume developer, the more lift. I believed that the wetter and looser my mixture was, the stronger it was. Like I would be in the middle of a service and my product would start to dry out, and I would have one of those little squeezy salad dressing, tiny little things you can squirt out of. I would have that on my tray, my color tray, and it would get dry. I would squirt a little more developer, and thinking and believing that that was making my product work better, stronger, longer. It's not true. And literally, I found these things out just in the last decade of being behind the chair. And I thought, wow, if I'm thinking this and I've been at it this long, I'm sure there's a lot of other people thinking it as well. And it's time to start talking about it. So the other thing that I did for the first 25 plus years is use heat. All of my foils went under a old school hooded dryer. And then I was like, oh, now I know better. That's very uncomfortable for that client. I'm going to invest in a $5,000 the roller ball. So when the roller balls first came out, they were $5,000. And I remember it was such a goal for me to get one of those in my salon. And the girls that work with me will tell you, I was like a crazy person. If anybody banged into it or mistreated it, I was like, you break it, you buy it. Like, I am not buying another one of those. And there was always 2 or more colorists in the color room. And we would like race, speaking of the tortoise and the hare race, we would race to get done our foil so we could get our client underneath the roller ball before the other person got there, because we always depended on that heat. And now that I know better, I never use heat. If I ever need to, if I really am in a pinch, if I'm teaching at a show or just really have to get done, I'll do a dryer with a diffuser and I'll just move it around a little bit on the last few foils. But other than that, I do not count on heat. I don't like to use heat. It creates unpredictable lifting. It damages the hair unnecessarily. There's just so many reasons to not use heat. So when mixing your product, I was always an eyeballer. I would always just like mix my developer into my lightener to the consistency that I prefer to work with. not understanding ever that there's a difference. Thicker is quicker. It's an easy thing to remember because it rhymes. Thicker's quicker. So when you're mixing, you know, a 1-to-1 ratio versus 1 to 1.5, 1 to 2, 1 to whatever, it's going to be thicker is going to be quicker. So if you're a slow foiler and you're mixing thick, I get it. We like it to be thick because we don't want bleeders. We don't want our foil slipping and sliding, but thicker is also quicker. So I hope that if you're mixing quicker, you're also sticking with lower volumes of developer. 10 volume is more than enough always. If you have extremely dark hair, we're talking Kim Kardashian and she wants, you know, at least level 7 lightness, then yes, I would start with 20, but I would not go right in with 40. That's usually the go-to when we think, oh, you know, we've all been taught 10 volume 1 level of lift, 20 volume 2, 30 volume 3, 40 volume 4. It's all BS. It's not true. It's faster lift, but just like that video of the tortoise and the hare started out all cocky. He's like talking to the chicks and taking his time because he's like, I'm going to beat this turtle. And the turtle just kept going and was steady and strong and did not get distracted, did not look anywhere else. His eye was on the prize of winning that race. That's the way that volumes of developer work. So I heard this very late into my career and I was like, okay, before I teach this or share this, I need to know that this is the truth. So I took 4 pieces of hair from the same exact, it was from a doll head. So it wasn't great lift anyway. It wasn't like really great quality hair. But I was like, I want to see this for myself. So I did 10 volume, but I took the hair off the same doll head and split it into 4 pieces, taped it to a piece of cardboard. I'm going to show you what it looks like. And I set my timer and I did 10 volume for 20 minutes, 20 volume for 20 minutes, 30 volume, 40 volume. Look at those swatches. There's not very much difference between any of them, except for the fact that the 10 volume is much more even. The lift is even. The cuticle is much more intact. The hair is in better condition. And as you go up to the 30 and 40, you notice how much hair is missing. It got like sparse and some melted off. And that was only in 20 minutes. Not granted, it was doll hair. But you can see, you know, you would think like, oh, the 40 volume is going to be right to the lighter color because it's so amazing and such strong lift, but it's not. So if you have been brought up into the industry of the 40 volume, you know, I have an educator who's a dear friend who calls themselves 40 volume and her name, that's like her claim to fame, that she's quick, but it's that she's quick. It's not that she's getting lighter, brighter, better results. It's that she's quick. So she's not really paying attention to, wow, I'm really blowing that, you know, cuticle and cortex wide open and it's all frazzled. It's light and it's done, but it's very frazzled. So the other difference is 10 volume will continue to work longer. The 40 volume gets in there, starts to blow open everything, is like, let's get this job done. And it starts to lift. And sometimes you'll get stuck in that orange stage. So if you're finding that happening with your lifting and lightening, which I was when I was 40 volume woman, it kept getting stuck in that orange stage. And when that happens, leaving it on longer, putting heat on it, adding developer, all those things that I used to do when I did not know better, did not get me to the finish line better, quicker, faster, more amazing. It was just more damaging. The lightener was left on the hair much longer. Sometimes you got to call it. You have to wipe it off. I have a product in my Shopify store that's a squeegee that you can go in and wipe that product out of the foil without removing the foil. You go in and swipe it out, remix more fresh product, thicker with 10 volume, lay it on that hair, close the foil, don't use heat. You're going to push that orange hair to the finish much better by removing the old product and putting on fresh new product than letting it sit and sit and sit under the dryer, the rollerball, whatever heat source that you have. So one of the best analogies and best visuals that I ever had was comparing volumes of developer and lift to shingles on a roof. So we all know what a roof looks like. And if it's a shingle roof where one lays on top of the other, like let's do this with, I've seen it done with Post-it notes on a cardboard cylinder too, which was a very good visual. So if you have, this is like a shingle situation, right? You have all these shingles lined up on each other like that. So 10 volume is going to do this. It's going to lift it just a little bit, lift that shingle a little bit so that you can get something under there. It's curled up just a little bit, just enough. 20 volume is going to do twice as much. So like that much of a lift. You're going to get, you know, more open, get everything in there more. It's going to be more permanent, all those things. And then 30 and 40, again, I didn't do enough stickers, but the 40 is going to blow the shingle completely back off the roof. And now your roof is going to leak. So I want you to think of it that way when you're reaching for the 40. Do you really need to do that level of blowing open that cuticle, getting everything wide open to do the job that you're looking to do? Is there some cases where you do need to do that? Absolutely, there are. But I think people tend to go in habitual phases. Someone said, why did the 40 volume look darker than the other volumes? Thank you for pointing that out. I'm going to talk about that. So the reason that it looked darker is because the tortoise and the hare, the 40 volume at the 20-minute mark was like, let me get in there. Let me get in there. Let me get all this lightning done. And it got to the same point that the 10 volume did, but it wouldn't have kept going. It used all of its energy to get to that stage. So that's why it looks darker, because it used up all of its lifting much sooner in the process than the 10 volume did. I'm so happy that you pointed that out, because most people don't notice that. And that is my point, that 10 volume and 40 volume are going to get you exactly the same place. It's just the 40 volume is going to get you to its destination. It may not be your destination, but it's as far as it can go, is going to get there quicker and die out. The 10 volume is going to keep chugging along and just keep on. It's like someone who saves their whole life for retirement, $20 a day, and gets to $1 million, and a person who hits the lottery and wins $1 million. The person who hits the lottery and wins $1 million has to pay 50% of it in tax. The person who saved the $20 a day, that was a tax shield for them and kept their money growing, and it grew into the $1 million. So there's just so many different analogies that you can use. But the bottom line is, thank you. Yes, Tina. So this is the Alka-Seltzer test. So in my Hair Color Secrets Insider course, you'll see me put Alka-Seltzers in clear vases. So the 10 volume is 1 Alka-Seltzer. Do this yourself. 20 volume is 2 Alka-Seltzers. 30 volume is 3. 40 is 4. And of course, I needed people to help me plop them in all at the same time. But we plop them in, and the 10 volume, it sits in the vase and it's doing its little fizzy thing like a seltzer, just slow and steady. The 20 gets a little bit crazier, but it's still pretty steady. The 30 like rushes up to the top of the vase and it's like foaming on the sides. And the 40 practically like leaps out of the vase because it's like so strong that it's trying to push everything at once. So that's a good visual as well. Thank you for bringing that up. Mackenzie, I work for salon services. I literally get asked. So the 60 volume, first of all, the working volume is not the same as the volume we're mixing into the color. It's not a 40 working volume. It's lower than that once it's mixed with product and all that. 60 volume became a thing, and I was guilty of it. I was at a hair show. I was teaching at a hair show, and there was a company doing open air balayage, and it was getting super light. And I was like, I don't know. I've done clay lightener and balayage, and I've never gotten the hair that light. So I started talking to the educator, and she said the secret is mixing a little bit of 100 volume in with your 40 volume to make a 60 volume. And I was like, 100 volume? My gosh, where do I even get that? Well, it became like literally a drug deal. This guy comes out from behind the curtain. He's like, come here. You were asking about the 100 volume? Here's my card. Like, don't tell anybody. It was like such a secret to get this hookup for this 100 volume. And I got it. It comes with like a skull and crossbones on it, like no lie, like a heavy duty chemical. It can't be shipped. It's like this big underground secret thing because they use it to embalm bodies. Like, it is such a strong chemical and really honestly should not be used on humans. I mean, like, us hairdressers are good at breaking rules. But I'm embarrassed that I ever even used it because it's so bad for the hair. Like, our balayages were turning out so beautiful and so bright blonde, but the hair was just, it looked like a rabbit chewed on the person's hair on the ends. It's just way too strong. So yeah, we do not do, again, know better, do better. We don't do that anymore. What's Karen say? Karen, people need to know the bleach they use, ammonium persulfates versus potassium persulfates. One started lifting quickly but lose its power. One starts slow but doesn't lose lift. Good to know. Yeah. So understanding your product, I talk about that all the time. Make sure that you are very familiar with the products that you're working with and the strength and the speed and all of the things. Stacy said, I've had so many people argue with me that 10 developer doesn't lift the same and saves the integrity of the hair. Stacy, you keep doing you. People are not always going to agree with you. And that's the beauty of life. Just keep on doing what you're doing and just laugh at them when all of your clients keep staying with you longer. So measuring is important. You know, Johnny, who is my dear friend and does my hair and gets tortured by me when I need my hair done, he laughs because I was always just doing my lightener mix by, texture, by what consistency I like. He said, "You're so bad, you never measure." I started measuring because he shamed me into it. And I have to say, I've gotten much better results. So there is a reason that the manufacturer recommends ratios. Now, I am a rule breaker when it comes to Wella Color Touch. If you're in my membership, you know that. And I confuse a lot of people because Wella's instructions are on wet hair, 1 part color, 2 parts developer. It's very rare that I do that ratio. And I learned it from my mentor, Beth Minardi. And when I saw her do it and I saw it work, and then I tried it and it worked, that's when I'm comfortable sharing it. I don't just break rules for the sake of breaking them. The way that she explained the why behind it completely made sense to me. So with Wella Color Touch, if I'm covering gray, I do 1 ratio. If I'm doing low lights, I do another ratio. And it's rare that I refresh mids and ends with Color Touch, is really the only time that I do their instructions. And it's not on wet hair, it's on dry hair. So it's all about having experience, understanding how color works, seeing what's going to work, what you can, tweak and what you can't. So Azra is a new member of the Hair Color Secrets Insider, and she's having light bulb moments. So she said, I did this with a color correction last week. I watched Jesse. He talked about potassium persulfate, and it worked, lifting 7R permanent. So Jesse is a guest in the Hair Color Secrets Insider membership. He contributes quite frequently. He's amazing. And he's actually coming to our Inner Circle Insider Retreat this year in April. So he's going to be doing talking all about converting our clients to gray, which is such a tricky project for all you Jack Martin fans out there. Jesse will be doing that at the retreat. So it's not too late to join the insiders, become an Inner Circle member, and attend the retreat. It's April 28th, 29th, and 30th. Azra will be there. She'll get to meet Jesse in person. So yes, that is another awesome resource. We love Jesse. He's actually doing, Jesse and Gary are doing a class. They're back to doing their class both virtually and in person. It's a great price, great class. Very highly recommend checking that out. They may be doing one here. I saw them talking about doing one here in St. Pete. So that would be awesome. Yeah, so that is the lesson for today. In case you got on late, I'm gonna play the tortoise in the hair video because I thought that was so cute. But knowing that sometimes strength is in taking your time and letting the hair process as it should. Room temperature, watching it. If back here, if you start in the back and that looks like it's done, taking it off versus letting this sit on and then jacking this up with a lot of heat. There's a lot of things that we've gotten into the habit of doing for time's sake. And one of the things that has changed a lot in the beauty industry, which I'd love to see, is COVID made people slow down and start taking more time with each guest instead of jam packing their schedule, having 3 heads going at the same time and having this whole assembly line thing where you can't pay enough attention because you're so busy. So I like that people have slowed down, stopped using heat, take time to speak with your clients about the products they're using, about the condition of their hair. Speaking of the condition, we're also having the creator of Uveni is coming to the retreat. So we have a lot of great things going on at this retreat, and I think there's like 5 spots left. It's almost sold out, and it's at the end of April. So let me play this video again. Hold on.
The tortoise and hare decided to race. The hare said the tortoise would never keep pace. I'm faster than you, huh? He bragged to his face. I'll finish before you have gone any place. The tortoise was cordial, he barely responded. He just sat back and humbly nodded. Once the race started, the hare took off running. Gone in a flash, he was there, then he wasn't. The tortoise was slower, he plodded along. He just kept going, the race would be long. But about halfway there, the hare got cocky and stopped for a nap, thinking no one can pass me. He was so close to winning, why be concerned? But this was one life lesson he had yet to learn. Cause while he was sleeping, the tortoise was creeping, gaining more ground, believing, achieving, passing the hare who was quietly dreaming. Cause slowly and surely he knew he could beat him. And that's what took place. The hare slept too late. By the time he'd awoke, he had lost the whole race. So careful of bragging, work till you got it. Cause you never know, kids, you could be outsmarted. Watch what you say and treat people well, or you'll wish you could bury your head in a shell. Don't sleep on me, I'll be working the hardest. Don't sleep on me, I'll be working the smartest. First you crawl, then you walk, then you walk, then you run. Better cross the finish line before you say you won. Don't sleep on me, I'll be working the hardest.